This is my new editing PC, or what will be my new editing PC. We've got a lot of components here, and I've kind of just meshed stuff together, and in all honesty, I don't even know if this stuff is gonna fit in the case we chose. And that's because this P300A here is extremely compact, and that's the way I like my mid-towers. This build will be utilizing the latest Intel CPUs, namely the Core i9-12900K. I'm very interested to see how the P and E cores fare for an editing rig. Honestly, a lot of this is gonna be experimental because I've seen how this chip performs, I've watched other reviews, but I haven't actually tested anything myself yet. So this will be more or less a long-term experiment if I decide that these are not worth the transition from my 5950X rig, which I'm currently using to edit videos with. I will switch back because why would I do that to myself? Many brands stepped up for this project. Big thanks to them. ASUS stepped up. They sent a beastly Z690 motherboard. Again, this is one of the components I'm not sure it's even going to fit in our case, but we'll find out. We also have RAM from Corsair. Of course, this is important because we're going to be using DDR5 now, not DDR4. It sounds very weird saying DDR5 because I've been saying DDR4 for so long. But these two kits here, these are 16 gig DIMMs apiece. So we're going to have 64 gigs in total at a frequency of 5200 megahertz. Yeah, welcome to DDR5. We've also got an MP600 Pro for some lightning fast reads and writes. We're gonna want, to have a really fast system, and having a fast storage drive is part of that. I already mentioned the case, the P300A. This is the airflow focused version of the original Phanteks P300, which I've built in several times and do thoroughly enjoy. We have a Seasonic Focus Gold 850 watt power supply. I like this one because it's compact, it's not too large, and in our smaller mid tower, that's gonna really come in handy. I am recycling an RTX 2080 Ti because why not? I'm using a 3080 or 3080 Ti in my rig right now, but I like 2080 Ti's as well. Look, Ampere is great and all, but it's just, it's kind of difficult to find any Ampere card for a decent price. So stepping back into Turing for the time being, I have no problem doing that. And then I purchased myself an ASSIE 226? Yeah, 226 XT. This is an ID cooling cooler here, and this is supposed to support the latest Intel CPUs. So we'll see if that's actually the case or not. I'm assuming it is, but I've never worked with ID cooling components before, and I figured why not? Now would be the time to experiment. Heck, the entire build essentially is one big experiment. And lastly, this one would not be possible without our video sponsor, VIPSDKey. I've been using their Windows 10 Pro OEM keys for all of my latest builds. It doesn't make sense to deal with a watermark when it only costs around 10 bucks or so with the use of our promo code to get rid of that and enable full customization on Windows 10. This will even give you the ability to upgrade to Windows 11 for free if you're interested. Our limited time discount code for this video is GSVIP, and it'll give you a whopping 35% discount for a limited time. So jump on it while you can. That'll bring the price to under $13 for a legit key that will activate your OS. You can also use this code for Office 2021 and get the same 35% discount, bringing your price to around $40 US. We'll show you how to activate using one of these keys later in the video. But for now, it's time to assemble. I think we're just gonna do a build montage. We've done plenty of how to build your PC guides lately, so let's just have fun with this one. Here we go. Now, first things first, I know I showed you B-roll of a legit Core i9-12900K. This is a consumer grade SKU, and you can see here, I've got an engineering sample. This was sent by ASUS for this build, and we will be using this for my rig, only because I don't want to use the consumer SKU in case I want to do some independent testing with a separate board, separate platform. So this is the one that's going in my rig. First things first, let's get this ROG Hero Z690 board out of the box. This thing looks so freaking schmexy. My, oh my, I could not have designed a sexier motherboard. This thing, it's also very heavy. It's kind of awkward holding it like this. And one of the coolest features, I think, and it's a very simple mechanism, but I think that it's much needed, especially with these beefier boards, a quick release button for the top PCIe slot. Check this out. You push this down, and it pulls back the retention clip for that uppermost 16-lane slot. That's just freaking brilliant, Sometimes it's difficult to get to these because you've got, cards with thick back plates or what have you, maybe a really beefy air cooler. You just push this button, and boom, that clip slides back. I love that. Hey, Pepsi. Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? No, that's expensive Please, please no. So we're gonna lift this socket lever. It is much larger this time around. Pull back on the, oh, it opens this way. Okay, interesting. This is all, this is all new to me. We're gonna drop the CPU in, nice and gently, and then we can tighten everything back down. This is, maybe I'm not doing this correctly. Okay, that didn't sound very good. Get up, will you just, there we go. That was a bit more problematic than usual. I can already tell this mirror is gonna be a fingerprint frickin' magnet. Now let's tackle DDR5. I really like that these Vengeance modules from Corsair are very sleek. I love the design and they're low profile as well. Not that we're gonna have any interference anyway from our CPU cooler, but still, I like this design overall. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Oh yeah, 64 gigs of DDR5 goodness right here, folks. Next on the list is our MP600 Pro. This is a 1 terabyte NVMe module with super fast reads and writes. I think we're gonna keep the heatsink on here as well. We could go with the motherboard heatsink, but this one looks a bit more functional. So we'll just take this off. I think there's an M.2 slot under here. I might be wrong. Nope, there isn't one. Oh, there is. It's just, it's backwards? Is this even gonna? Oh, it will work. Okay, yeah, it's just gonna have an upside down. That kind of sucks. Maybe I can flip around the cooler. Oh, hold up. Look what I found in the box. An M.2 card. This is pretty sweet. You can actually fit like, depends on the kind of card, maybe up to 4 NVMEs in here, and then they all link through the PCIe interface, which is super cool. I actually think we can still use this with a single one. I might be wrong and I might look like a total moron here in this video, but I'd prefer to just, use this. It'll look cool to take up some extra space in our build as well. Moving on then, with mounting gear taken care of, we can go ahead and apply our thermal compound. Now this is a larger IHS than we're used to from conventional desktop grade Intel stuff, so I'm just gonna do a bit, well, that's probably a bit too much. Whatever, that's okay. Rage in the comments. We're gonna get this cooler installed. It should just sit like so. Now, they say this cooler's got a TDP of 220 watts. Well, we gonna find that out because, well, if it can cool modern Intel chips, it can pretty much handle anything. I think we're about good to go there. Mounting pressure is critical for applications like these. And with the fan taken care of, we can now get this motherboard in the case. Easy does it. This, by the way, is much easier with your case laying flat. This just looks better on video. So it's for the fans. And, oh gosh. Oh yeah, this is gonna be one clean looking, sleek black build. I caved, I laid the case flat. That didn't feel right. Just makes a lot more sense, especially when you've got a heavy CPU cooler like this. It's gonna kind of pull everything from the top down. You're not gonna get a good alignment the first time with the case standing up. So yeah, just be smart. Now we can take care of case cabling. This includes, but is not limited to, USB 3.0 front I/O and the HD audio cable, which is somewhere. Here it is. All right, get yourself over here. Is that an HD audio header? AAFP. I don't know, I mean, it looks like it'll fit. Yeah, I mean that fits, but I don't think that's HD audio. Yeah, I'm gonna have to pull out the manual. Aha, it is AAFP. There's just an extra 2 pins tacked off to the right side of this, and I'm not really sure why. This is the face I make when I'm intently working. Next, we did install our 850 Focus power supply from Seasonic. You can see it's much more compact than a typical 850 watt power supply, which is nice. Again, we don't have a lot of room in the basement of our P300A. The other thing is we've kitted this power supply out with some cable mod cables. These are fully sleeved, they're custom, so they wire directly into this modular unit. And the mint green color, you're probably thinking, Greg, why are you doing mint green? Everything else in here is black. Well, there are some subtle mint green accents in our MSI Ventus 2080 Ti, so I think it'll mesh quite nicely. You can see with our hard drive cage oriented this way, which allows for front loading, it's a bit unorthodox. You get extra space here for cable management, but that sacrifices a bit of PSU clearance. So that's another reason why, again, it's very important to have a more compact unit for this case. We can load things in here from the right side. And oh yeah, this is nice and snug right here. So we'll just tighten her on down and get to work on cable management. I'll be right back.
2,000 years later.
And would you check this out? She cleans up so nicely. There's tons of cable management space in these P300 chassis. One of the reasons why I like them so much. But yeah, wow. This is a thing of beauty back here. Unfortunately, it won't be seen, but for me, it's peace of mind. I'm installing a few extra fans because, well, why not? We need the extra airflow. We're probably gonna need it because this Intel chip, I'm sure, will run quite hot, and we've got a perforated front panel, so it'd be a waste not to. Nice. There we go. At this point, just a couple more things to tackle. The graphics card, obviously, and our expansion drive thing, M.2 card, whatever this is. Again, I don't even know if this is going to work. I've never used one of these before, so I definitely sound noobish right now, but we'll give it a shot. Worst case, we can always swap in the M.2 into the motherboard. It will still be accessible with that CPU cooler installed. So let's get these in there. Shouldn't be too difficult. So in goes the 2080 Ti, looking mighty fine if I do say so myself. And you can see we've got a few mint green accents, hence the custom sleeve cables we're going with here. If I can get this stupid thing to slot in. There we go. Oh yeah, looking nice. We'll tighten things up and we'll get this expansion card in here. I kind of sort of underestimated PCIe slot spacing. This is a bit closer to the graphics card than I would have initially liked. I'll have to check temps and just see how cataclysmic it's going to be. I imagine it's not going to be the end of the world, but it is a bit close for my liking. Now there is another slot, a full-length slot at the bottom, that looks like it's only an 8-lane slot, and even then I'm not even sure if we're gonna have access to all 8 lanes, but I'm gonna use that for the capture card that I'm gonna put in here. I have to bring that in from my other system. We'll connect supplemental PCIe power cables. These should just slot right in, and they are bridged, so these cables will kind of stay nice and neat and tidy all the way back into the power supply. Looks very clean from this side. And would you look at that? This build really turned out quite nice, and considering how inexpensive this P300A is, I mean, it just goes to show you that when a case is well built, regardless of its price point, you can make it work even with expensive hardware. I'm really glad in hindsight I decided to build in this case. I've had really good experiences again with the P300, and the fact that this one is more airflow oriented, there's nothing wrong with that. We are going to be somewhat limited, I imagine, on the cooling side of things for our 12900K. It's the only thing I'm slightly worried about, but for now, the next big step is to attempt to power the system on. We need to make sure that it posts, and from there, we can install Windows and get some of our important programs loaded. Let's try our luck. Let's see, power on at the rear looks pretty good. Yeah, looks nice so far. Hey, there it is. Okay, so we can go ahead and slide this left side panel back on. Now I left the peel, the plastic peel on, because I wanted to do the honors after, oh my gosh, I look really silly trying to get this thing on. Holy crap, just go, there we go. All right, great. And is it on? Yeah, it is, okay, cool. I wanted to wait and do the plastic peel after the system posted, so let's do that now. Ooh. And can I just say, this little infinity mirror thing we got going on here with the ROG motherboard and this rear exhaust fan, this is just sick. And the fact that you can see the subtle glow from these deep cool fans through the front panel is just mwah. But before we can do anything else, syncing up RGB, again, downloading those important programs that we need to install Windows 10. And to do that, we're gonna need a thumb drive like this. Connect it to another PC, a friend's laptop, basically anything that connects to the internet and that does have a USB Type A or a Type C port. And they're gonna wanna download the Windows Media Creation tool. That will be linked in this video's description. Run through the prompts, select the thumb drive as the installation destination, and then let it work its magic. Then, when the drive is safely removed, you wanna connect it to the new system, the one that doesn't already have an operating system on it. I like to connect it to a USB port at the back of the motherboard because sometimes the ports up front can act a bit finicky. Now to get to this screen here, all you should really need to do is simply power the system on. If there are no other boot images on any of the other drives connected to your build, the system should automatically boot into this bootable media. If it doesn't, you can hop into your BIOS and select the boot tab and then designate which drive you want to boot into. Again, it should be your USB drive. Now we can click next and click install now. Now at this point we could enter our product key. We could go ahead and buy one from our sponsor ahead of time, but I like to do this after the fact, so I click I don't have a product key. By the way, as it is, Windows 10 is technically free. You shouldn't need to activate to be able to use it. Again, you'll just have to deal with the watermark and a few other limitations. I think that the $10 or so though is worth it. We have Windows 10 Pro, at least that's the key we'll be buying for this operating system, so we need to make sure that we install the Pro version. You can't buy a home version and then activate on a Pro OS. Sometimes it'll update for you automatically, sometimes it won't though, and then I get emails emails saying, hey, I bought a code and it doesn't work. Well, it's probably because you purchased a key for the wrong version of Windows 10. So make sure you pay attention to this. We're going to be installing Pro. We'll go ahead and click Next. So we can accept these license terms, and then we'll click Next. Now this part is important. You want to click Custom Install. This will give us a choice of where we want to install Windows 10. Obviously, we only have one drive connected to this system, but if you have multiple drives connected in yours, make sure you select the correct drive. Typically, you want this to be the fastest drive in your build. And this one here, obviously, we just have an MP600 Pro, and that makes it pretty easy for us. We'll go ahead and click Next. And now we'll sit back. Wait, shouldn't have done that. Okay. Well, we're off to a great start, eh? I suppose what we can try is swapping in this legit 12900K. This is the one that Intel sent. Now, the engineering sample that is in the rig currently, I thought that was a 12900K. It's actually a 12700K that Asus sent. Maybe that's why we're having these issues. I know Secure Boot is a thing, and we did enable it, and then we got that blue screen. I'm not sure what's going on. This might just be early growing pains with Alder Lake, but we'll give it a shot. We have nothing to lose.
A few moments later.
Aha! I think it was this. Swapping out the CPUs really didn't change anything. We still ran into that issue, but swapping this out fixed it. No more blue screens when trying to install Windows, so let's go ahead and get on with it. Now, once Windows has installed, you'll be greeted with this screen here. I'm not gonna hold your hand and walk through these prompts. They're fairly self-explanatory. Just tell Windows what you want enabled, what you want disabled, and you can always change things later. Now, when you're on your home screen, you might notice a few things. First off, the Windows activation logo might be there. It might not be. It usually takes a few cycles for this to show up. Either way, you can confirm whether or not Windows is activated by hopping into your settings panel. And you can see here in the activation tab that Windows is not activated. No key was found on the device. We're going to change this right now. First, you'll want to click the top link in this video's description. It should send you to this page here where you can purchase a Windows 10 Pro OEM key. Now, an important point about OEM keys is that they often lock to the hardware with which they are activated. So if you have a motherboard in your system that you swap out later on and it was previously activated, you might lose the activation status with Windows. That's just a function of OEM keys, one of the reasons why these are significantly cheaper than retail keys. I find that this is still worth it because unless you're swapping motherboards or swapping some other vital component every other week, you'll still save tons of money. That's why I still use them for my personal rigs. From here, we can click Buy Now, and this part is super important. See the promo code window here. You'll want to type in GSVIP. That is a special promo code that'll give you 35% off for this time period. Now, this will drop back down to roughly 20% after a good while, so make sure that you snag one of these ahead of time if you expect to be building a PC soon. Go ahead and click Apply, and you'll see that will bring our total down by almost $7 to just $12.84 total. From here, we can click Submit Order, and I like to pay via PayPal. You know this is secure. Now, this purchase will take a few seconds. If you see a white screen for a while, don't fret, just let it play out. Once you get to this page here, you see the order has successfully been completed. You've got your order number, and then you can click on the User Center button, or heck, if you just hang out, it'll take you straight there, and you can click View Codes. You see, all these here, I've purchased so many of them. I use them for, again, all of my builds. But click this button right here. It says View Keys/Codes, and that should take you to where you can get it. Click Get Key, and boom, there it is. Obviously, I'm going to blur it out because I want to use this for my personal rig, but this right here is what we want to copy. So highlight this, and then we'll swing back over to our new build and click Change Product Key. Then it's as straightforward as typing in the activation code. Then click Next. You might need to wait a minute or two while the key is validated, and look at that. We can click Activate, and shortly after this, the watermark should disappear off to the bottom right-hand side of the screen, and in the activation window, we should see that Windows 10 Pro has been activated. There we go. And that's it. It's literally that simple. I want to thank VIP SCD Key for sponsoring this video and providing us with this information, allowing us to have a chance to show folks how easy it is to install Windows. Again, you need an operating system for a PC to function like this, and Windows 10 just happens to be the most common. People have been moving on to Windows 11, by the way, and I'm just not interested in making the swap anytime soon, unless I'm forced to at some point, which I'm sure will happen. I think Windows 10 is just fine. I'm not interested in beta testing, so to speak, a very new operating system with a different layout than I'm used to as well. You can see we've calibrated the fans here. The colors look quite nice, I think. The white in the fans, and then we've got some white on the motherboard. That's all I wanted, was just some sort of illumination so that we can see the subtle mint green in these cables as well as the card, because everything else in here is pretty much blacked out. The system is extremely quiet at idle. We've set the fan curves appropriately, and I've got my Elgato 4K 60 capture card in here for some sweet footage when we're filming from the desk setup. So with that, if you want to find any of the components thrown into this build, be sure to check the video description. It's all going to be down there. You might have a bit of trouble finding a 12900K for a decent price right out of the gate, but just be a bit patient. I think that they will the stock will sort of kind of level itself out. It depends. I don't know. 12900K is about 10% faster than the 12700K, which I think is a much better value chip. So if you can't buy a 12900K, consider the 12700. Even the 12600K, the Core i5, looks to be pretty appealing as well. But I think the 12700K is a sweet spot. We'll be sure to run some tests and follow up with you guys in a few weeks with our results. So yeah, parts in the description. If you guys enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and I'll catch you in the next one. Again, big thanks to VIP ICDK for sponsoring this video. I will catch you in the next one. My name's Greg. Thanks for learning with me.